Everybody, welcome back. So today we're working on a Sew Handy. I think that's what they're called. They're little chain stitch toy machines, but they do work. It is a functioning chain stitch machine. And this girl is one that belonged to my customer since she was a kid in the 70s. So her name is Eloise, and she's going to be getting a facelift. This is the first one of these that I have done, so I thought I'm going to turn the camera on for this. I actually have already pulled off her badge. She does have a centennial badge, which is kind of neat. And I've got her pins off here, so I'm going to be polishing that up and putting it back on when I get her done. But I'm just going to slowly start taking her apart. These are really cool. If you ever see them up here, the thread patterns are numbered. So you first put it through number 1, then number 2, then number 3, then 4, 5, which is pretty neat. I'm going to be painting whatever is black, and the things that are not black, I'm going to be cleaning up and polishing. So let me see. First, I'm just going to take this little thread guide off and get it set aside. There is a screw down here and one up here, and I'm thinking if I take those off, my outer casing should come off. So let me get my handy dandy Chapman screwdriver. I think I need a smaller bit here. I'm pulling this one off. I think this is the first time I have done a disassembly without gloves on, just because these usually don't have a lot of grease and oil on them, so I'm thinking it won't be as messy. Okay, so it's just a very long, probably about a 1/2 inch long screw that goes in that side. And over here, let's take this one off. Okay, and a much longer one over here on the back side. And also up on top, there's one up here. I'm going to be removing it. Okay, and taking its pieces, and keeping those separate. Let me go get some baggies. Okay, so once I take that off, this whole little system can come off with the tension, and I'm going to be cleaning this. Sorry, I'm going to be cleaning this and polishing it, as I usually do. All right, so let's see. Are we going to come apart yet? Not too sure. It wants to. Oh, there's another screw down here that I completely missed. That is why. Let me unscrew this one down at the bottom. Okay, so on the back side, we have this little short one on the base, this long one up on top. Okay, it's not going to come off because this casting comes all the way down here too, so I actually need to take this tray, the bed of it, off first. Get this needle raised up. There's a little screw here and here. Let me go ahead and get those loosened up and see if I can slide the bed out. Okay, so now that those two screws are out, the bed comes off, and that's going to be completely cleaned and polished. And now this side's going to come off. Okay, this is going to get painted, and I do have another little gold Singer lettering that I'll be putting back on there. It looks like this pin might be threaded in there, but honestly, I don't want to risk it, so I'm just going to leave that right now. Let's see. Let me take a peek at what I have going on here. Okay, so just taking a look at it right now, what I'm seeing is that there is a shaft that goes from the outside of the wheel all the way through. And it looks like this screw from the back that was the shorter one, that is what was kind of up against it, but there's nothing holding it in right now. I can wiggle it. But in order to pull this off, I'm going to need to loosen up this screw and pull it off so I can pull that mechanism so that this will release and I can pull that off. So long story short, I need to get a much larger bit here and see if I can unscrew this. And yes, oops, it is coming off pretty easily, which is nice. Okay, so taking that off, I should be able to release this side here. Come on, wiggle free for me. All right, so now the wheel is off. The wheel I am painting, I'm not going to be painting this. I'll be cleaning and polishing this part off. This flat part of the shaft here, that's what the screw is up against, holding it in place, okay? So I'm going to put that up there with my to be painted things. Okay, before I pull this out, I want to show you on the needle bar, there's a little nub right in there. I don't even know if you can see it. It's a little round nub. Here. Now you can see it, all right? It's turned over to the side, and this lever has an indent that nub fits into. Okay, so I need to get my needle bar out. This uses a special little short needle, and I'm not too sure if I have extras in my stash, so I'm going to save this needle and actually polish it up. So I've taken the little screw out of the needle bar and should be able to pull it through, but it's kind of dirty there. I'm going to actually hit it with a wire wheel real quick to get some of this rust and gunk off, and then hopefully that's going to come off. This is what is being held on by here, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in a separate baggie. Okay, here's the thing. I can't pull this out while that little nub is there because it can't go down, it can't go up. So I have to actually punch this little nub out before I can pull my needle bar out. And it looks like if I just get a little punch, or actually it's moving pretty well without it. Let me just get some pliers and see if I could just grab it and pull it out. Yep, all right. So that's the little thing that sticks in the needle bar. All right, let me go ahead and pull that out, and here's my needle bar. All right, so that's the hole that this goes through. So let me get all that put away. Okay, so I cannot take the lifter lever off until I get this part off, because the foot is just pounded on, you can see, so it has to slide down, it can't go up. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. This is the little hook that goes around to make the loopy part of the chain. So let me go ahead and take this off. This is, I believe, the stitch length adjustment where you can see how it's bigger there and smaller here, the way that it's pushing up against this bar. I believe that is stitch length. Like I said, I don't actually own this model, so I don't know. The only, excuse me, the only Sew Handy I have is the one from like the 1970s that's electric. And unfortunately, mine never worked quite right, and I just haven't felt like taking it apart, but I love these old ones. Okay, so with that, can I take this screw off? It's kind of an awkward angle here, but it is moving freely. All right. Get it untwisted here. Now this little wire, let me pay close attention to how it is being held on. Okay, so this screw is inside of this little fork into the back part there, all right? So this wire is attached to the feed dogs, and it's going to be the spring that keeps the feed dogs snapping back down. So I'm pulling it out here. When it goes back in, this tiny little hole up here is what the back end of this wire is going to go into, and the front hook of it is going to go in this little hole, okay? So, will the feed dogs come out? They will, but I need to take this hook off. So, not a fan of that. Well, I am just going to have to hope that I will be able to get the hook back in its proper orientation. And I'm just going to point out right now, this is the screw hole, okay? If that's the screw hole and I can see the bottom of the screw, I have, if I look straight on it, I have just a, maybe a little less than a 1/16 of an inch between the head of the screw and this little flat part. So when I'm putting it back on, that's the orientation that I'm going to shoot for. And I am hoping that that's going to make it, be able to time it back up easily. Okay. So let me go ahead and get this screw removed here. Okay, so then this just comes straight out. This feed dogs can lift off. And is this bearing going to come off? It feels like this bearing should come off. It's probably just stuck. Let me work with it for just a bit, because I think I should be able to get that bearing off and then pull this whole shaft straight out. Okay, yeah, it just wanted a little help wiggling. So it is off. Now here, look at this. At the end of the shaft, it's like for a flathead screwdriver, that's going to make it easy putting this back on, because it's either going to go this way or the opposite way. There's only 2 positions that this hook can go on. So that's helpful. This will get cleaned up. And now, hopefully, I can pull the shaft off. Yay! All right, let me get all that bagged up. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm going to remove this little screw here that is the presser foot. Ooh, it's a rusty little screw. Presser foot lifter lever. I'm going to put a little bit of penetrating oil on there. Let it think about itself for a minute, and then I'll try it again. Okay. All right, so I hit it with penetrating oil and ran over that with my wire wheel. There we go. So here's my lifter lever. There's a little spring in here. And I think I should be able to wiggle this shaft out. Yes. Pull out the little spring. There is no washer on these little guys. And then this little bracket here, that's what the screw was screwed into. So that is all the parts for my lifter lever. This is part of the casting. And that is it. So at this point, I'm going to be stripping these. I am going to be using my media blaster for that. It's a glass bead media blaster. It won't damage the parts at all. I'm not going to show you me using it because it's extremely loud over there. But I will be back shortly with clean parts. Okay, so I have got her stripped. The handle is wood, and this is going to be painted. It has a little chip in it, unfortunately, but that's okay. It just shows that it's been loved. I am going to be painting this also. Here's one side of the machine, and here is the other. I need to go ahead and get this girl masked up. She's going to have a really snazzy paint job. Since she's small, we can go a little overboard here. And so I'm going to make that a separate video. So we're going to call this good for the very first one of taking apart the Sew Handy. Hope you liked it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.